Hello and welcome to the 49ers First and 10 podcast. 10 minutes of the most up-to-date 49ers news first thing in the morning. I'm your host, Brianna McDonald. Joining me is team reporter Lindsay Polares. Together, we want to wish the faithful a happy 87 day. Today, we honor the legacy of the great Dwight Clark and his contributions to the team while bringing awareness to the ALS community. Lindsay, to start us off, would you like to share about the 49ers 87-day tradition at 49ers camp?
Yeah, so today at 49ers camp, you will see coaches, players, alumni, staff, all in commemorative t-shirts that feature Dwight Clark in his signature pose from the catch, which of course was the game-winning touchdown from the 1981 NFC Championship game between the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. If you're not familiar with the significance of that, well, it was a catch that obviously won that game, but gave the 49ers their very first Super Bowl berth. And after that, I think you can guess what follows, but the team went on to win 5 titles. For Dwight Clark, he was a player in 2 of them and then was a member of the front office for the last 3 Lombardi Trophy wins. And obviously he passed away in 2018, but was just an amazing representative of the values of the 49ers and the type of player that this organization hopes each athlete embodies. So every year since I believe 2017, we celebrate 87 Day on August 7th. So you'll see the shirts at camp today. It's a day that I think we all look forward to at this organization. And we're so happy that the fans get to be a part of it each year.
Yeah, in honor of this year's 87 Day, I caught up with linebacker Dre Greenlaw at training camp a couple days ago. He's not practicing. He's currently working his way back from injury and getting in the best shape he can to help contribute to the team again. But I wanted to highlight his role on the team because he's this year's Dwight Clark Award winner. Every year during the offseason, the Dwight Clark Award is given to a 49ers player who best represents Dwight Clark's values of being a great teammate, being a great leader, and really just being a great football player. So Dre Greenlaw is carrying that title this year, and he talked about Dwight Clark's legacy and how it's still alive in today's 49ers locker room. Every player is looking out for one another in each and every way, on the field and off the field. And Dre is embodying that and leading the team there. So although he's not participating in team drills at camp right now, he has a really unique role on the team of being an encourager and a mentor, especially to the younger guys like Tatum Bethune, Jalen Graham, and D. Winters. Faithful, if you've attended open practices, you might have seen Dre yelling at these guys from the sidelines, hyping them up and just giving them pointers. But yeah, it's really special to see that standard that Dwight Clark and those Super Bowl winning teams set for this franchise and how this year's roster is living out their values and also striving for that standard. So really special to see and celebrate on 87 Day today. Also, here's head coach Kyle Shanahan on Dwight Clark in honor of 87 Day.
I just always remember Dwight at all the camps up in Rockland when I was in middle school running around, and I didn't realize how good of a player he was at that time because I was too young, and I just thought he was one of the coolest guys in the world, just walking around like he was the man, like where everyone just respected him. I was like, why is that guy so special? And I remember my mom crushing me for not knowing what the catch was when I was in 6th grade. I didn't grow up here and didn't totally know from, I think I was 2 or 1.5 at the time, so she should have been softer on me, but she wasn't. And she made me feel stupid, and now I get why, because it's one of the best plays ever.
But we've had one day of practice since our last episode. Let's start at roster moves and injury updates. Lindsay, what's the latest on those fronts?
Yeah, one day of practice, but definitely some changes happening in the last 24 hours. So there are a couple roster moves. So the 49ers signed offensive lineman Lewis Kidd to a 1-year deal, and that's a corresponding move because offensive lineman Pat Elflein, who was recently signed over the last few days, landed on the injured reserve list. And then Faithful, you should be familiar I think you should be familiar. If you were a fan of the team from anywhere from 2017 to 2019, running back Matt Breida is now back with the Niners on a 1-year deal. And that's a corresponding move because wide receiver Malik Turner was recently placed on the injured reserve list. So a couple new faces. Matt Breida is wearing number 28. And then also that kind of plays into the injury updates that we have had over the past 24 hours. So there's quite a few, so I will read them off for you here. We'll start with some good news. Wide receiver Jacob Cowing, who is out with a hamstring injury over the last couple weeks. He returned to practice. And then wide receiver Ricky Pearsall actually tweaked his shoulder yesterday during practice. You remember this was an injury that he went through during OTAs. He was removed halfway through the workout as a precaution. And then in the running back room, we have Christian McCaffrey, who suffered a calf strain. He's expected to be out of practice for about a couple weeks, and then don't expect to see him playing during the preseason. Usually starters don't get a ton of reps during the preseason, but also in conjunction with that injury, again, probably not going to be taking any preseason snaps. Then you also have running back Elijah Mitchell. He's dealing with a hamstring strain, and it's expected to miss a week or so of practice. And then we have punter Mitch Wisnowski. He's been out the last few days of practice with some knee irritation. With that Titans preseason opener coming up, the team is going to have to figure out something for their punter situation in that game. And then we have offensive lineman Ben Barch and wide receiver Tay Martin, who are also dealing with some small bumps and bruises from training camp. They're back in practice as of yesterday. Wide receiver Danny Gray was in a blue non-contact jersey for practice yesterday. And then in terms of just participation, we had fullback Kyle Juszczyk, defensive lineman Nick Bosa, defensive lineman Leonard Floyd, and defensive lineman Javon Hargrave on veteran rest days. They are not injured. Again, just taking a veteran rest day on Tuesday. And then we have some players who are working through various injuries that were doing some rehab work on the sidelines. I already mentioned Elijah Mitchell, but we also had offensive lineman Spencer Burford, linebacker Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, cornerback Darrell Luter, and running back Isaac Guerrero. So once you see players doing rehab work, that's a positive sign. So we'll keep you updated with their progress as soon as we know more details.
All right. Well, thank you, Lindsay. And head coach Kyle Shanahan mentioned that many starters might not play in the preseason opener against the Titans this Saturday. So what should fans be looking for in this opening game?
Yeah, so for preseason, I would expect, again, like head coach Kyle Shanahan mentioned, starters are really not going to get many snaps. We don't know the exact plan. We'll probably know more about that later in the week. But this is going to be a really important evaluation tool for all the 49ers coaching staff to see how the rookies, the new free agent signings, and just the players that have come into the building during training camp, how they perform, how they fit in the system, how quickly they've picked up the 49ers system in whatever amount of time that they've been here. So there is value to these preseason games, and it's going to put a lot of the spotlight on those non-veteran players. So I would be on the lookout for standouts because everyone here at 49ers camp is trying to make a case for themselves to ultimately make that 53-man roster, and they're going to get their first chance to shine in live game action come Saturday.
All right, we're looking forward to it. But Faithful, that will do it for today's episode. Subscribe for more training camp and preseason updates. Turn on the notifications for any breaking news, Move the Chains episodes, and thank you for tuning in.